going to keep that heady roller coaster mix of excitement happening with the next act, ladies and gentlemen, who, if you could think of all the stage names in the world, you wouldn't think of this one. It's a Gary, ladies and gentlemen, eh? What says Las Vegas more than Gary? So here he is. You know his first name? Do you know his last? No, you clever clogs. I do. Ha! Deal with it. Please welcome to stage the penultimate act, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is a Latinate term. I'm not shy of using it. Welcome the penultimate act. Here he comes, little Gary Lancet.
Hello. I'm not a middle-aged Jewish comedian. Well, you're wrong, actually, because I very recently, if I can possibly manage to extricate myself, learnt of the Islamic connection in my family. Which would come as a great surprise to my brother, who said, oh, over here. Well, goodness me, what a surprise. Hello, Had. Salam. Okay. Anyway, if you have a few minutes, and I think that may well be the case at this particular moment, I thought that I would give you a little crash course in awful stand-up comedy. If you come back in a year's time, it might improve. Anyway, so the first thing that you need to know, would you like that, by the way?
Yes!
Okay, that's good to know. Before I plow on. So the first thing that it's important to know is that it's always important to include, it's quite obligatory these days, a joke about Jimmy Savile. Just about managed to get in this evening on that. But you know what? I'm not going to give it, not going to do it. I'm not going to become another one of his victims, basically. And another thing you should know is that anal sex is very popular on the stage at the moment as well, but as far as I'm concerned, that comes at the bottom. Anyway, so the second thing, number two, as I always like to have a number two at this point, is to introduce interesting details about your, little details about your life. People find this very interesting, or you might find it very interesting. So, for example, I recently moved house to lovely Primrose Hill. So I only moved there so that I could say that sentence. Anyway, so basically it's not been an easy move. One or two people have suffered concussion on the low beams in my house. I'm not kidding about this. One or two people can testify. Also the beams themselves struggle under the weight of my not insignificant ego, which the house can just about accommodate. But anyhow, the neighbours, it's been a very awkward situation with the neighbours. There's been a great deal of noise, so I've been a little bit disturbed. So I thought I'd get a bit more information about this, and so I went next door to speak with the foreman to see, how long I was going to have to suffer this. And so he spoke in this very thick Polish accent. Oh, well, we're over the noises part of it now. So I said, well, would you say you finished about 70%? They say, oh, I'd say it was finished about 70%. But you're just saying 70% because I just said 70%. No, I'd say 70%. You're just repeating everything I say. No, I'm not repeating everything I said. You said. Are you really sure that you're from Poland? Oh, to be sure I'm from Poland. Do you love me? Well, I sort of love you. Well, I didn't actually say that, of course, but isn't that what it's all about? Do you love me? Not in a gay way, you understand, but do you want to hurt me? Isn't everything okay when you know you're loved? Do you love me? Do you love me? Yeah. Oh, and I love you too. Of course, this isn't strictly comedy. It's more group therapy, actually. But I'm liking it. So anyway, so the point number, the next thing, number three, is to make sure that you include personal revelations. So, for example, on the theme of therapy, actually, I've recently been seeing a therapist. And this therapist got upset that I was seeing another therapist. The second therapist, however, not only has he written books, but he's also been on the TV. So he had a Channel 4 series. He hasn't actually written as many books, but he's been on the TV. It's a tricky one. Anyway, the first therapist, he was very upset with me. He said, "What the fuck do you think you're doing? You're seeing someone else disloyalty of this. Frankly, it's either you or me." I had to go and see a third therapist in order to resolve the conflict. Anyway, the fourth thing that you need to know is that it's also a good idea to include personal hatreds. So, for example, who can't stand the whole keep calm and carry on thing? I mean, you know, you've just lost your job, been diagnosed HIV positive, one of your parents has died, you've just been to a bad comedy gig the night before, and you're handed a mug with keep calm and carry on. I don't fucking think so. Anyway, finally, the important thing to realise is a bit of a funny thing, this whole stand-up comedy. I mean, people say, "Oh, you're so funny, you should be on the stage." It's like, you know, if you were very generous, do you think you should sort of start opening a global charity? Or, you know, if they say, "Oh, you're very flexible, so you should become a yoga instructor." Or if you're a bastard, actually, if you're a bastard, you should become an estate agent. Anyway, the last thing that you might consider doing is kind of wrapping things up slightly, is referring in a very witty way to something that you've done, mentioned earlier in the set, and it kind of gives a sense of kind of completion to the whole thing. Unfortunately, I can't think of anything at the moment, but thank you very much. I've been Gary Lunn.
Because we all told him it was a fancy dress theme, and he came as Darth Vader. So, you know.